Hello everybody, my name is David Thompson. I'm responsible for Marine Solutions at Aviva, and it's my pleasure today to present to you some of the insights from the recent survey we did on digital transformation in the marine industry together with IMarEST. So we had about just over 320 people participate in the survey, and of course because of the membership sort of makeup and demographics of IMarEST, most of the people have some kind of background in marine operations. And this was particularly interesting for us because Aviva traditionally is a company which is serving the shipbuilding side of the industry with our 3D design software. So we wanted to gain some of those insights from you in terms of how you see digital transformation across the whole industry, but from your perspective. We also learned a lot. I'll be the first to say that this is the first survey that I've designed personally, and we learned a lot about designing surveys. So I'd like to really give all of you who took part in the survey a special thank you for your patience and for taking the time to fill out the other category, which you can see here was really getting a lot of attention in our survey, partially through poor design. So we started off the survey by looking at digital transformation, and I wanted to focus on, first of all, the shipbuilding design and design and building and handover, if you like, and then a little bit into operations. So I asked the question, what do you think is going to be the most disruptive digital transformation in the ship design and building process? And I gave you a very limited choice here. I wanted you to look at the design process or to look at the construction methodologies. And you can see, as you can see here, there's a slight trend towards innovative construction technologies being the major part of transformation that's going to bring the shipbuilding process forward. I think that's partially because in the design phase, there are already digital tools used. There's 3D CAD, there's computer-aided manufacturing tools used in the design phase, simulation, etc. But in the production phase, that's where we still see a lot of paper-based processes and manual processes. So there's more potential for digital transformation in that construction or production phase. So that was an interesting insight. And I probably formed the question here around the construction techniques. A little bit too much because I think there are going to be changes to the way that ships are fundamentally designed and built around increased modularization, increased standardization, or platformization like the automotive industry do in order to get more productivity in terms of more ships going through the production line at effectively a lower cost. And the only way to do that is more modularization, more standardization, and innovation really on the construction design and construction techniques. As you can see there on the right hand side, there were a lot of other key trends that people picked up in this kind of other category in the comments. Of course, design for what I would call more agile operational scenarios is very important. So design for the fuels of the future, design so you can retrofit different engines into your vessel to handle these different fuels of the future, but also design for autonomy. So designing for a future where there are less crew on board or the crew have a different skill breakdown is also going to be important. So the shipyards today, their main business is to design or in many cases only to put together, to do the final assembly of vessels. And most shipyards really struggle to make a good profit margin on that business. There's long lead times, the prices of materials can change over time. So our customers are looking at providing digital services. And I asked the participants of the survey, do you agree or disagree that there will be a demand for more digital services from shipyards in the sort of medium to long term? And the overwhelming answer is yes. This is very interesting coming from people who've got mostly experience in the operations of vessel. And as you can see on the right hand side, the participants really indicated that there are a whole bunch of different things that shipyards could be doing to provide additional value across the life cycle of a vessel. So from data logging to doing laser scans of as-built versions of the vessel, adding complete maintenance or asset performance management services, there's really a broad variety of services that shipyards could deliver. And drilling down a little bit more into this, we kind of started to see a pattern emerging where in some cases the shipyards don't provide any kind of digital services. They hand over the vessel goes into a warranty period and that's about it. In some cases, shipyards are able to hand over, a digital package of drawings and diagrams and data, which is a kind of part of the vessel. And as you there's a line which basically progresses, so you have shipyards adding more and more detail to effectively what is their digital twin of the vessel. So, for example, handing over the full 3D model with attributes, or even handing over a vessel which is effectively IoT ready, so has sensors on board it, or even has satellite connectivity to synchronize data from ship to shore, either for the use of the shipyard themselves to provide better condition monitoring and maintenance services, or as a service for the client. So that question led us quite nicely into digital handover. So the question was, do you agree or disagree that it's important when we're thinking about digital twins that the shipyards hand over an accurate as-built digital twin of the vessel? So today, shipyards might hand over, as I just mentioned, a package of drawings or documents. They may hand over a 3D model, but that 3D model isn't always as-built. And as you can see here, by far the vast majority of you agreed that that is an essential thing, to hand over an accurate as-built version of the vessel, if you like, the digital twin as a basis for operations. And moreover, if you look at the right hand side, you can see there that we found that the participants found that was a very important, that the shipyard is kept in the loop in terms of changes made to the vessel throughout its life cycle. So as we started to talk about digital twins, I asked the question, which of the digital twins, design, manufacturing or operation, will provide the most value throughout the life cycle? And of course, we got a variety of answers here. So for those of you who had primarily had experience of operating vessels, you answered the operations one. That's where the vessel spends most of its life. For those of you who've been highly involved in the design process, you answered that this is the design twin, because this is where the costs get baked in. This is where a lot of the things that affect operational procedures get designed in. I think the real answer, and many of you did answer this, is that it's a combination of these twins, and that's going to be the very interesting thing, to see how the twins work together with each other to provide value to all the stakeholders across the life cycle of vessels. We asked then the key question, who should manage this digital twin? Who should be the custodian of this twins or twins over the life cycle of the vessel? And we again got a spread of answers. So again, predominantly owner operators was the answer here, again because most of the participants were from that marine operations side of things. But again, good cases for the shipyard to be the owner of that, because they know the design of the vessel better, they know the insides out of it, and they can take advantage of that, looking at sister ships or similar ships and improving on those. And then, of course, also a very valid answer was the class society. The class societies are stable organizations. They haven't changed in hundreds of years in some cases, whereas shipbuilders change hands, shipyards change hands, they change ownership, there's consolidation, and the same with owner operators. The vessel itself changes hands many times over its life cycle. So 3 very good and very valid answers there for who could be the custodian of the digital twin. This led us quite nicely into the class society. So what kind of digital services are class societies providing here? And as you can see from the graph there, there's really a wide variety of digital services that the participants of the survey thought the class society should be providing in the next few years to come. Already 3D classification being something that's fairly well developed. It's nearly there. Remote inspection, something that took off during the COVID lockdowns, of course. Simulation as a service, an interesting one. Especially for operators who don't want to maintain expensive CAE software, and digital twin management services, going back to who should be the custodian of the digital twin, being quite a popular response, as you can see there. We then moved on to what I call, what I perhaps wrongly referred to as real-time operational data. So we asked the question, is real-time operational data essential for business resilience? And by that we meant the ability for a company to adapt to changes in the market, to changes in its workforce, to changes in technology, more in a more agile way. So business agility, business resilience. And as you can see, 98% of the respondents agreed, but in the comments there were several key challenges as to how to make this work. So how do we get the data, especially from a vessel in the deep ocean, back to shore? How do we ensure the quality of the data? So it's easy to collect the data, but how do you need to employ a team of data scientists, or is there software that can help you control and audit the quality of your data? How can you use this data on shore and effectively augment the crew? Or how can you use that actually offshore on the edge? A lot of questions related to the use of operational data in terms of providing business resilience. I then talked a little bit about digital business platforms. So if we look at most businesses today who are looking at digital transformation, they're actually looking at several overlapping platforms, as you can see in the top right hand side there. They're looking at a platform for their partners, a platform for their customers, a platform for the things that they produce and operate, and a platform for their employees. And as you can see here, most of the people who took part in the survey responded that they are very likely or likely to be implementing a digital business platform in the next 5 to 10 years. And we didn't really go into the details of what kind of digital platforms, but as you'll see on this slide, there was a little bit less confidence in terms of the organization's ability to implement these digital platforms successfully. And this is something, of course, that we see as well, where there's potential things like skills gaps, resistance to change, disruption to existing processes. These are the normal kind of change management things that companies should be aware of when they're implementing digital platforms. So to conclude, it's clear that digital twins and digital transformation in general has enormous potential to unlock even more value in the industry. I think it needs to be done in a collaborative way. So all stakeholders need to think about what are the digital services that they are best suited to deliver into the industry. And I think shipyards are one of the key players here. They can provide more digital services, but they need to develop their organizations to do that. So again, sort of related to collaboration here, this concept of life cycle data or data over the life cycle, or if you like, the digital thread, is going to be a key thing. So we need to solve some problems around how do we collaborate around a digital thread, a common data thread, from the specifications through the shipbuilding process into commissioning and operations. And like to finally kind of wrap it up, it's clear that nobody can do this alone. It's going to be a collaborative effort between shipbuilders, design agencies, the classification societies, the owners, the charterers, and the equipment suppliers. So on that, I'm going to hand over to our panelists, I believe, and wish you again a good day, and thank you very much for your participation in this survey.